you're confined to your home, you're obviously quite desperately dependent of technology platform and digital tools. And so as a result, I think it's quite clear that the public argument for technology adoption really has shifted. And it's now much more based on the notion of necessity rather than choice.
Need for digital transformation has been highlighted very much so in this crisis. It's not a nice to have, it's a must to have. As I mentioned, it's not just sort of work doesn't work anymore in this situation.
Digital platforms too is going to be fundamentally different. Who wants to hold cash? Who wants to pay with a credit card or a debit card? Or who wants to hold a point of sale device and key in a pin or have to sign a piece of paper with someone else's pen? We're going to limit touch. Digital payments are going to move and fast track to a point where we're going to have a very low touch environment.
The irony that we've been talking about for years, Michael, which is that this data, which is incredibly useful to public health services associated with governments, has been largely denied to governments, but it's been entirely available to the tech companies and the network operators of mobile phone systems to be used almost solely for commercial purposes. So in a sense, we've allowed the commercial risk and disallowed the public health benefits. And that's why I think there's going to be a rebalancing.
You know, of course, even before the pandemic, we saw the worlds of digital safety and physical safety merging. But I think now we're seeing that on steroids in terms of hardcore cybersecurity implications, particularly the connection between online misinformation and physical safety.
So I think a lot of the questions that we have on the table on how we use data-driven technologies are more urgent than ever. How do we protect the right to privacy while using data-driven technology to solve some of the urgent problems of the day? How do we track and trace without either creating a surveillance state or reinforcing a surveillance state?
What you hear a lot is the argument that, well, if technology allows me to keep my job, I'm going to use it. If technology helps to save lives, I will endorse it. And so citizens, I think, across the world are much more likely to share their personal data, to consent on much more invasive technology if they perceive those technology to be a necessary step to fight the virus or to resume, their normal lives.
The need for digital digitalization, digital transformation coming up to the fourth industrial revolution, those needs are hard needs, not just soft needs anymore. So I do hope that after this crisis that will come out on the positive side as more organizations and companies and governments adopt more digitalization, while of course keeping human-centered tech policy governance in mind. I really do hope that's the positive outcome.
One thing to pay attention to is the impact of a recession and prolonged unemployment on automation and AI and robotics. So before the pandemic, there was already a lot of anxiety about the effect of automation on jobs and how we can retrain the workforce for a more just transition to a world where AI is going to create some jobs, but it's also going to replace a lot of others. And so in our minds, one after effect of the pandemic is that it might slow down AI deployment in industry just enough to buy us as a society time to get that transition right.
Ironically, and it would always be, kind of be a nice positive consequence of bad news, maybe we're going to discover that we're not as different as we think that we are, at least when it comes to some of these really, really crucial high social risk areas, and we'll find some ability to kind of get to a better synthesis that both sides of the Atlantic can agree on. I wouldn't give that enormously high odds, but I do think the opportunity is there.